Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art and Talk. Art and Talk is an online interviewing platform for artists to share their art, creativity, and passion. We embrace all the arts to bring you diverse and quality interviews to watch and be inspired by. If you are an artist and you're interested in being interviewed on Art and Talk, send an email to viewoftheartist@gmail.com and we'll get back to you with scheduling and information. We hope you'll stay connected with us on social media. You can find Art and Talk on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, and share. And please stay connected with us on Art and Talk on our Facebook page as well. We appreciate your support. Today, we're going to be looking into the art of playing the harp. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest and find out all about her musical journey. I'm Leslie Sue, the host for Art and Talk, and I'd like to welcome our guest artist for today, Angel Simmons. Angel, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. And I thought I would share with you to open the program a beautiful song that I wrote called Crescent Moon. And it was inspired by the beautiful crescent moon in the sky. So here we go.
That was beautiful,
So I
Angel.
hope you enjoyed that. It's a song. Oh, good. So I was inspired by the beautiful crescent moon in the sky. I'm a stargazer, and I was also born on the crescent moon. So I really got the feeling of watching the stars and then composing the music. Um, so I hope it gave you that feeling of tranquility and looking into the sky in the evening for all you stargazers out there. I'm playing live from the San Francisco Bay Area. And it's been a musical journey for me for a long, long time playing the harp. I was inspired by my grandmother from a very young age. I spent the summer with my grandparents when I was 10 years old. And so my grandmother inspired me to learn the harp. And it's been an amazing journey. You know, I didn't realize until I was an adult and I started to learn about the history of the harp that it goes back to like 5,000 years ago. You know, the earliest harps were developed in Egypt from a bow and arrow, if you can imagine. So when you look at the shape of the harp, you can imagine that. Of course, the bow and arrow doesn't have a front piece, but this was developed later in the 17th century so
Mhm.
that they could make larger harps and add more strings. And so I started out learning simple songs, you know, like Somewhere Over the Rainbow and so forth. And then I was classically trained. I went to Royal Conservatory of Music and uh, learned how to read and perform classical pieces. And then later on, as I explored all types of music that harp was performed in. Where I grew up in Washington State, there's a lot of folk festivals up there, and there's a harp maker called Dusty Strings. So I really was exposed to a lot of different styles of music, but folk music became very big inspiration for me. I think in terms of how I learned to compose. The other thing that was very inspiring for me was the environment. So, all of the songs that I've composed have been by the seaside. I love the ocean and I love the water. I love the sounds of the nature, from the birds singing to the ocean waves. So, I would spend hours and hours um, in my favorite spots by the seaside and play the harp and develop the rhythms from the ocean waves, and so that is a lot of what gave me inspiration to compose my music. So then, of course, I also perform with my husband, and he writes more about historical events. So that's a different exposure in terms of style of music as well. And for many years, I would go to jam sessions with other musicians,
Mhm.
and some of them were really into jazz, some of them were into classical. So I learned to improvise, and that also, I think, really had a big influence on my composition. So, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask me, or?
Well, I love
Okay.
everything that you're
Well,
sharing.
let's see. Would you like?
Mm. No, I was just saying, I
Okay.
love everything that you're sharing.
S-
Go ahead.
yes, yes. So this particular harp was made from maple tree,
Mhm.
which is a tree that grows in the northern states, and it's a hardwood.
Mhm.
So typically, most of the harps are made with a hardwood so that they can handle the tension on the strings.
Mhm.
And I got this harp in 1974 in Chicago, Illinois, from a harp maker that's been making harps for over 100 years. So, Line and Healy is an amazing um, organization, and they have tours. So, if you're ever in the Chicago area and you would like to see how a harp is made, you can make an appointment to go and have a tour. It's really pretty amazing. And so I think that the tone of this harp has a lot to do with the type of wood, because there is a lot of different types of woods that are used to build harps. You know, you have rosewood, you have ebony, walnut, um, and even I've seen some harps that were made out of birch and purple heart.
Mhm.
So, yes. And I have traveled with this harp across America over 8 times. I spent 3 years in Florida, in Englewood with my in laws, and they loved it when I played the harp for them. Um, it does, I have to say, um, travel well. So even in higher elevations, this is just an amazing instrument. I've never taken it on a plane though. I've just driven in a vehicle
Mhm.
with it. But I do have to tune it every time I stop. This is my magic tuner here,
Mhm.
and I have 36 strings on this harp. So here are the tuning pegs up here at the top, and that is what I use to tune it. I can use a piano, or I have an electronic tuner that I use. It's tuned in the key of C, the same as a piano. And of course, there's different types of harps also from different countries around the world. So, for example, the Paraguayan harp, it's tuned a little bit differently and built differently, where the strings come up at the top, and they have wooden pegs that you use to either loosen or tighten the strings to
Mhm.
get your tuning. So that explains a little bit about the tuning of it. So, um, 52 years I've been playing the harp, and I have to say it's just an amazing instrument for me. It's very relaxing. Um, for the past 30 years, I've been doing a variety of venues with the harp. I spend most of my time now playing the music for patients in the hospitals, and using it for therapy. It's very therapeutic, very relaxing. However, I do play for a lot of people that get married, and the harp is very beautiful for, any special event, background for a lovely meal, and then again for certain festivals and historical events. I'll perform with my husband as well.
Mhm.
Well, he sings about the history of whatever the event is. It's been a wonderful experience for me. And I also do presentations at libraries and colleges and teach about the history of the harp. I'm trying to keep it alive as well by bringing it into the schools,
Mhm.
hoping that younger people will be inspired to play this instrument because it is ancient and you don't see a lot of harp makers um, making harps anymore as they used to because there's not as many people that perform with this instrument. I suppose because of the computer age, a lot of young children are more into the computers and so forth and electronic instruments. But it's very, very special for me because when I hold the harp and I have it on my shoulder and
Mhm.
I'm playing it, I feel the vibration. There's the vibration. It's very soothing,
You
very
feel the vibration
relaxing.
in in your body as well as sort of in another sense as well.
Yes, I feel the vibration all around me, but I feel it through my body
Mhm.
because the wood vibrates as I'm playing the strings,
Mhm.
and the string vibrates well. So very, very therapeutic for me as well, playing this instrument. And if I'm stressed out, I just pull out my harp and play for a little while, and then I'm nice and relaxed.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, I love everything that you're sharing, Angel, from giving us a little bit of the history of the harp, as well as in your musical journey. I found that so beautiful that it was sort of passed on from your grandmother when you were quite young. She taught you, and then you developed a connection to it very strongly, and then you were classically trained through school, and it's just a really beautiful, ethereal, and very celestial instrument. I noticed when you were playing, when you opened up with the Crescent Moon, you just looked like, I was watching you. You had a smile on your face. You just seemed so very happy, so very content. And it's a very, when we hear it, it's very peaceful. It's very heavenly.
Hmm.
I'm interested in that you said when you were first practicing that in addition to your formal education, it almost sounds like as you were by the sea because you're so connected with the water and with the sea, and you were kind of learning to play the rhythms as you said of the harp. You also were listening to the kind of like the movement of the ocean. You were listening to the birds, and it's almost like they were kind of teaching you, maybe it was, subliminally or, on some other level as well. And I found that beautiful. And that is a lot of what you're inspired to compose about, or, like the evening sky, as you said, and the stars. Can you touch upon your composing creative process? And so we can just like tap into a little bit about what that's like for you and in relationship to the heart.
Sure. Um, and so sometimes, I'll have a melody in my head, but most of the time when I bring my harp to the seaside and I play, I'm spending at least 4 hours and I'm just playing it with songs that I've already written. And then I'm changing key and trying out different things. And while I'm doing this, I'm listening to the nature sounds, the ocean waves, the birds singing, and I suppose subliminally, I'm hearing their tones, of the songbirds and the ocean waves, because that's all a vibration of notes, which would be comparable to the notes on the harp. So while I'm playing within the nature sounds, I'm listening to the tones of the harp. And somehow inside of me, it makes sense or sounds good but I will say this. I mean, for the music that I have composed, it took me at least 2 years. It's to get it to um, sound beautiful, so that it's in connection with where I am, by the seaside, or even in the forest. It's or in in the evening, to get a sense of watching up into the beautiful stars, and if there's a full moon, and watching the clouds float by. um, it's the nature that gives me the feeling that I in turn um, play onto the harp. So it's kind of an interesting process. It's almost difficult to explain. It's really so much of the experience.
Mhm.
It's almost, I feel like I'm hugging a tree when I'm playing the harp.
Mm.
And so, everything connects.
Mhm.
Everything connects. Yeah.
Mhm. And
So
what
hopefully
was
that.
what is the hardest thing about playing the harp? I suppose you've been playing it for so long now, but I guess going back into when you were first learning it, what did you find that was the hardest aspect to kind of like really master?
Sure. Okay. So there's a few things. When you're playing the harp, you develop calluses on your fingers, and that takes time. So once you develop the calluses, then that takes the pain away. So you don't feel any pain. The other thing is posture. So I always have to pay attention to my posture,
Mhm.
sitting up straight, keeping my spine straight, because it's easy to forget. And then after a while, your shoulders kind of curve into the harp. But it's really important to sit back and keep your shoulders straight. So I do a lot of stretching now,
Mhm.
and I'm always conscious of sitting up straight, and my posture. Also, the weight of it, moving in and out of the car, I have to be very careful.
Mhm.
Um, I I think the right word to use is ergomotics. It's been so long. I had taken a course when I was in my 20s, because I was also a registered nurse at the time. And because I was specializing in geriatrics, I was having to do a lot of lifting. So when you work in healthcare, and you are working with patients, you need to learn about how to move people so that you don't hurt your back. So that was very good for me. It was very good for me to learn that in terms of lifting this instrument, because it is 50 pounds, and a lot of people don't think that's very much, but it is when you're moving it in and out of the car.
Mhm.
Um, so the lifting of it is also very particular because of the shape of it. So I have, you know, I have the most of the weight is in the back here. This is the soundboard. Um, and so when you're lifting it, you have to be careful that you don't hit the top of it when you're going through doorways and
Mhm.
so forth. Um, Most of the time when I'm doing performances outside of the home, I have to make sure that there's an elevator or a wheelchair ramp that I can use to get into the venue I'm going to, because lifting it up the stairs is just not an option.
Mhm.
I have done it with the help of other people, but it's so stressful because, if you miss a step, that's it.
Mhm.
It would be easy for you to fall back. So it's not like my flute where I can just carry it anywhere. um, there's a lot of preparation when I take it out of the home to set up for a performance elsewhere. I need to give myself at least an hour so I can tune up the strings. They do go out of tune because of the movement of the frame, and also there could be a temperature change. So if it's, a few degrees different, sometimes I'll give you an example. I play for a lot of couples getting married outside. And so about 10 years ago, there was a couple that hired me to play for their wedding in June. And
Mhm.
I thought, okay, the weather's pretty good in June. Well, it just so happened to be that day, it was a heat wave day. It was over 100 degrees. And it was very difficult for me to play the harp in that heat. The laminate started to melt on my dress, and um, it was hard on my fingers, So I have to be careful when I play outside that I'm looking ahead, that day at the temperature to make sure if it's in the 70s, that's great. If it's too cold, that's not good either, because the strings will just break on their own. It's amazing. So there's a lot of preparation in terms of taking this instrument out and playing it. I have to prepare ahead of time and consider those factors.
Mhm.
So it's different with my flute. I can take it anywhere and set it up anytime and start piping away.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, Angel, thank you so much for sharing this. It's just, really giving us a little mini education into the harp, and you're playing and you're so knowledgeable with it. We do have a couple of pictures to show. So if you feel like it's a good time, we can go ahead and pull some of those images up and have you share with us what they're about. If you'd like to go ahead with
Okay,
that.
very good.
Okay, give me just a moment and I'll pull the images up.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it is the month of March. Now,
Mhm.
this Sunday is International Women's Day, but March 17th is St. Patrick's Day.
Mhm.
So that was a picture of me last year playing at the senior community where my mother lives.
Mhm.
And this harp that I've been playing for you today is the same harp in the picture. It's my Irish troubadour folk harp.
Mhm.
And in Ireland, the harp is their national instrument. So um, I'm playing Danny Boy in that picture. And yeah, celebrating St. Patrick's Day, some delicious treats afterwards, Irish soda bread, and some lovely tea.
Mhm.
So yeah, that picture is celebrating this month of March, and we have St. Patrick's Day coming up. Yes.
Yeah. So perfect timing with St. Patrick's Day around the corner. All right.
Hmm.
Let's go ahead and go to the next one. All right. Crescent Moon.
Okay. So Crescent Moon, I opened up the program playing the song for you,
Mhm.
and my son lives up in Washington State, but he comes to visit me, and we go to visit San Francisco, all the different special places he loves. He took this picture of the Bay Bridge, and my husband designed the cover. So there's a picture of me incorporating the San Francisco Bay Bridge here in California.
Mhm.
And the tartan on the outside is the tartan from my husband's family name. He's from Scotland,
Mhm.
his heritage, and it's the Fraser tartan. So my husband wears a kilt, and that is the plaid and the color on his tartan.
Mhm.
So Crescent Moon, I composed the music for its instrumental harp and flute, very relaxing. I really um, thought a lot about, my compositions when I was composing the music for this CD. It's my second CD. It's very relaxing, very therapeutic, and it's a beautiful CD for a massage therapist because it is an hour. And so that celebrates my recording of the CD Crescent Moon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right, very good. Let's go ahead and check out the next one. Oops, sorry about that. All right.
Okay, so this is a picture where I'm playing the Irish harp, and it's a lovely, lovely state park. It's about 20 minutes west of Las Vegas.
Mhm.
So they have a little western town there. It was a place where they would have uh, cowboys hang out years and years and years ago. It was on the trail to head out to California, and they have a little stage there. Me and my husband performed there several years ago, and a friend of ours, a photographer from New York, who was living in Las Vegas at the time, he came out with us and said he would take pictures. So that's a picture of me there
Mhm.
to the entrance of the Red Rock Canyon.
Mm,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And that dress that I'm wearing, my friend who lives in Paris, she makes Renaissance dresses all sewn by hand. So
Mhm.
that's a little bit about my outfit.
Wow, gorgeous. Love it. All right, and then we have one
Yeah,
more.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is my most recent picture,
Mhm.
and I was playing for my mother last month. So it was Valentine's Day, and that's a picture of me playing the harp in the living room of the senior community that she lives in.
Mhm.
Yeah, so same harp, beautiful Irish harp. You can see that it's called a troubadour, and you can see the little emblem there on the harp.
Mhm.
And so that's my troubadour Irish folk harp. Yes.
Mhm.
Hmm.
All right. If you don't have anything else to share with this, I'll go ahead and stop the screen share.
Yes.
All right. Angel, the harp and just seeing these pictures and watching you play and whatnot, and I guess just traditional images that we've seen, um, of a harp and a harp player is so elegant. It has such a sense of refinement.
Hmm. Yeah, I know it's a beautiful instrument. A lot of people that don't play the harp will love to have one in their living room just because it's so beautiful to look at,
Mhm.
and it really is. It is an eloquent instrument, and I feel very fortunate to have been given the inspiration to learn this instrument, and I love sharing it with everyone, and so thankful for this opportunity for you to bring the harp into your program.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And you had mentioned that, part of what you do in addition to performing. Oh, we lost you there, Angel.
Ah, okay.
Okay, we have her back. Okay,
Oh,
okay, we've got you
okay.
back.
Thank you.
We still have a few more minutes. Can you go ahead and flip horizontal for us?
Does that work for you?
Yeah, can you just go horizontal instead of vertical? Yeah,
There
there,
we go.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're still, kind of finish up the show here. Um, so we were basically, talking about what an elegant and refined instrument it is. And in addition to you performing, whether it's an outdoor performance or a wedding, as you said, or with your mom, in a senior citizen home and whatnot. You also like to educate in the schools and whatnot. So I'm just wondering, has that picked up at all in terms of, kind of gaining new harp players? Has it piqued up an interest at all with those, who are musically inclined to learn the harp?
Well, it has here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And that's because I have a friend, Jessica, who has a harp store in Walnut Creek. And so as I inspire these young music lovers, if they aspire to want to learn harp, then what I do is I send them to her and she gives them a free lesson. Now, I have to say there's so many different sizes of harps. So, there's smaller harps for smaller children and larger harps for those that can handle the weight on their shoulder. Um, and so that's the wonderful thing about going to the store, because they can sit down and try different sizes of harps and see what fits for them, what's comfortable. Okay, because you have your arms up. So, it is a little bit physically demanding on your arms. So it's important to get the right size harp.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it does. I'm looking forward to when the restrictions are lifted and the schools and libraries reopen, and I'll be able to go back and do my presentations and inspire um, young people to learn this instrument, um, because it's so beautiful. And I hope that, I can inspire people to keep this instrument alive for future generations, because it has been around for so long.
Mhm. Yes, yes, absolutely. And I'm so grateful to you for your opening performance and for all that you're sharing with us and the knowledge and the history and how you relate to the harp and kind of like the specifics, with the harp and whatnot. We do need to wrap up the show. What would you like to close the show with? We'll leave you the closing comments, Angel. And then also, if you can let us know how to stay in touch with you, please.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the program today, and I have a webpage which is www.angeltheharpist.com. You can go onto the webpage and click on music, and then it should bring up all of my compositions that you can have a listen to. If you'd like to order, you can order online. There's also musical services. You can sign up for a 1-hour session with me, because I do relaxation sessions.
Mhm.
And I always like to hear from anyone. If you'd like to connect on Facebook, I'm um, on a page with my husband doing business as David and Angel Simmons. But I think the easiest way for everyone to connect with me is to go directly to my webpage. So that's www.angeltheharpist.com. Please connect with me if you love the harp and you love music. And I hope I've inspired some of the audience today to consider learning this instrument.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for being our guest artist, Angel, and sharing so much with us with the beautiful, beautiful instrument of the harp and, kind of keeping those fires alive. And I'm sure will inspire others to keep the tradition going. And so thank you so much for being with us.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching today. We appreciate your time watching. Again, thank you, Angel, for being our guest artist and sharing about what the harp's all about. And we'll talk soon on the next Art and Talk. Until then, be well and be blessed.